The saber-toothed cat has already chosen its target. It has been watching them for 20 minutes. A family of early humans, exhausted, defenseless, asleep. The fire between them and the darkness is dying, embers fading one by one into the cold African night. The cat takes one step forward, then another. Then it happened. You already know these people survived. You are the proof. Every human being alive today carries the blood of ancestors who made it through nights exactly like this one. Nights when a perfectly engineered killer stood 30 feet away, needing nothing but patience, and patience was the one thing it had in infinite supply. But here is the question that nobody asks. How? They had no claws, no armor, no speed that could outrun what hunted them, no weapon that could match the animals that had spent millions of years evolving specifically to kill them. By every measure that nature uses to decide who lives and who dies, they should have lost. So how did the most defenseless creature on the prehistoric savanna become the only species that survived everything and ultimately outlasted every single predator that ever hunted it? To answer that, we have to go back, further than most people imagine, further than the first tools, the first fire, the first cave painting. We have to go back to a world where being human was not an advantage. It was a death sentence. 3 million years ago, the African continent was in the middle of a dramatic climate shift. Forests were retreating. Vast open grasslands were expanding in every direction, and with that openness came something our ancestors had never faced before: total exposure. No canopy above them, no dense undergrowth to disappear into. Just miles and miles of open ground, tall grass, and the certain knowledge that something was always watching. The creature watching them most closely was Dinofelis. This was not a generalist predator that killed whatever it could find. Dinofelis was a specialist, a saber-toothed cat that had spent generations evolving one singular focus: hunting primates, hunting our ancestors, specifically. The fossil record at Swartkrans Cave in South Africa simply shows what happened, and what happened was written in bone. Australopithecus skull fragments bearing 2 perfectly circular puncture wounds spaced with an accuracy that matched the canine teeth of Dinofelis exactly. These were not the marks of an opportunistic attack. This was a predator that knew exactly what it was hunting, exactly how to bring it down, and exactly where to strike. For over 1 million years, our ancestors were this animal's preferred meal. But this was only the beginning. Fossil evidence from Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania revealed something even more humbling. Researchers examining ancient animal bones found carnivore bite marks layered beneath human cut marks. Not above them, beneath them. Meaning early humans were not hunting these animals. They were arriving after the lions, the leopards, and the giant hyenas had already fed, and scraping whatever thin, cold nutrition remained from the bones that every other predator had already abandoned. They were eating last. And they also had the water problem. Every living thing needs water, and every water source in prehistoric Africa was controlled by Crocodilus thorbjarnarssoni, a crocodile reaching 27 feet in length, longer than a city bus, patient beyond imagination. Fossil evidence near ancient lakeshores and riverbeds shows early human remains bearing the unmistakable signature of crocodile attacks. The water that kept them alive was the same water that killed them. No claws, no speed, eating last, drinking at the risk of death. By every law of nature, this species should have been erased inside 1 million years, quietly, without ceremony. Just another failed experiment on a planet full of them. And yet, against every calculation, against every law that governs who lives and who dies, they held on. It started with fire. Not the discovery of fire. Lightning had been starting fires for 4 billion years. What changed was control. 1 million years ago, deep inside Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, Homo erectus did something that had never been done in the entire history of life on this planet. They kept a flame burning deliberately. Ash deposits, burned bone fragments, and carbonized plant material, all concentrated in one sustained area, tell a story of fire that was fed, maintained, and protected. For the first time, something that had always belonged to lightning belonged to us. Fire did not just keep our ancestors warm, it fundamentally rewrote the terms of their survival. No predator on Earth, not Dinofelis, not Pachycrocuta, not anything that walked the prehistoric savanna, willingly approached a sustained flame. The darkness that had belonged entirely to the hunters was suddenly divided. There was the firelight, and there was everything outside it. For the first time, our ancestors could sleep through the night. But fire gave them something even more valuable than safety. It gave them calories. Cooked food releases dramatically more energy than raw food. More energy meant more fuel for the most metabolically expensive organ in the human body, the brain. Scientists believe the sustained use of controlled fire directly accelerated the expansion of the human brain, creating a feedback loop where smarter individuals built better fires, and better fires produced smarter individuals. The predators hunting them were getting no smarter. Our ancestors were getting smarter every generation. The second change was stone. 2.6 million years ago, at a site now called Lemekwi 3 in Kenya, early humans began shaping rock with deliberate, calculated strikes, producing sharp-edged flakes capable of cutting through hide, tendon, and bone. These were the older one tools, the first technology in the history of Earth made by design rather than accident. They unlocked something no predator had ever accessed before: bone marrow. Dense, rich, loaded with fat and nutrients, bone marrow had always been there, locked inside the bones that lions and hyenas left behind. Now, early humans could crack those bones open. In the leanest seasons when prey was scarce and competition was fierce, this single capability kept families alive that would otherwise have starved. They were still eating last, but now they were eating better than anyone knew. 300,000 years ago, tools became weapons. The Schöningen spears, recovered in Germany and dating to 300,000 years before the present, were not crude sticks. They were aerodynamically balanced, throwing spears, engineered for distance, accuracy, and killing power. For the first time in the history of predator and prey, a small, slow creature could kill from a distance before anything could reach it. The third change was the way we treated one another. Homo habilis lived in coordinated groups of 20 to 50 individuals. This was not simply social preference, it was survival architecture. A single human against Dinofelis was a meal. 20 humans around a sustained fire, armed with stone tools and the accumulated knowledge of every elder in the group, was something Dinofelis had never encountered before and had no evolutionary answer for. Sleeping shifts rotated through the night, some always awake while others slept. Injured members were fed and protected until they recovered. Children were raised collectively, meaning more survived infancy than any other primate of the era. Knowledge stopped dying with individuals. It was passed forward. Which brings us to the fourth change, and the one that made all the others possible. Early humans were the first creatures on Earth to think forward in time. Not to react, not to respond, to plan. To imagine a future that had not happened yet, and act in the present to shape it. They memorized the seasonal migration routes of prey animals. They learned the hunting patterns of Dinofelis, when it moved, where it denned, which hours were safe and which were not. They studied Pachycrocuta's territorial boundaries and avoided them. They mapped water sources by the season and the risk, and they taught all of it to their children. This accumulated knowledge, stored not in DNA but in memory and language, was something 4 billion years of evolution had never produced before. A species that did not just adapt to its environment, a species that learned to outwit it. If worlds like this fascinate you every Tuesday and Friday, Lifonix recreates a new lost world of prehistoric Earth. Subscribe so no episode passes you by. Then 74,000 years ago, everything nearly ended anyway. The Toba supervolcano, in what is now Sumatra, erupted with a force the modern world has never witnessed. Ash blanketed the sky across Asia, Africa, and Europe. Global temperatures collapsed. Food sources vanished. The species that had survived saber-toothed hunters and giant crocodiles and 1,000,000 years of eating last was suddenly staring at extinction from a darkness no fire could hold back. Genetic evidence drawn from the DNA of every human population on Earth suggests that after Toba, our entire species may have been reduced to between 1,000 and 10,000 individuals. 1,000 people, the entire human species, and still they did not disappear. The predators are all gone now. Now, Dinofelis, extinct. Pachycrocuta, extinct. Crocodylus thorbjarnasoni, extinct. Every creature that spent millions of years perfecting the art of killing our ancestors gone, erased by the same deep time that they were so certain would erase us first. And here you are. You are not here because your ancestors were the strongest animals on that savanna. You are not here because evolution gave them better weapons or faster legs or tougher skin. You are here because somewhere in the darkness of a dying fire, a group of small, frightened, exhausted human beings chose to stay together, to share what they knew, to keep the flame alive one more night. That choice is inside you right now. It has always been inside you. Every time you stay when it would be easier to leave, every time you share knowledge instead of hoarding it, every time you look after someone who cannot look after themselves, you are doing the exact thing that kept this species alive through the longest, darkest nights this planet has ever seen. You are not the end of that story. You are the proof that it worked. Subscribe to Lifonix, new documentary every Tuesday and Friday. But this is only half the story. Next Friday, we meet the predator that hunted early humans for 3 million years. A creature so perfectly evolved to kill our ancestors that scientists now believe it may have directly shaped the growth of human intelligence itself. The hunter that, without knowing it, made us who we are. You will not want to miss it.